This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abam, Afreilach and Chanukah. We're up to Siman Lamed Beis, Seif Gimel. Continuing in Mishna Berura, Daf HaShavua, Siman Lamed Beis, Seif Gimel. Yichtavein b'diyai shachar. You should write the tefillin with black ink. Bein sheyesh b'mei afatzim, bein sholoi b'mei afatzim. Whether there is the water of gallnuts or not. The Bir Halacha says, Ayin Barambam Perak Aleph Mehilchas Tefillin Shekasav De HaHalacha L'Moshe Misinai Denemar Shiur Ksum B'Diyai. The Halacha L'Moshe Misinai that says that the tefillin need to be written with ink L'Nemar Rak L'Ma'id Shar Minei Tziv'oinen, to exclude other colors, Kagayin Ha'adaim, B'Hayarik, red and green, Chayotze Mashad B'Chol Davar Shiyasim Menu Mara Shachar Kediyai Kasher. There's no din that tefillin has to be written with ink. Either is Halacha L'Moshe Misinai, it has to be written with ink. No, it just means not red or green, but anything that could produce the black color is good, as long as V'rak Shiyam Eskayim, V'chein Kasa B'Hilchos Sefer Torah. The Rambam says, "Echad mechav dvarim hapoislim sefer Torah hu im nichtav v'loy shachar ha'omeid." If it's not permanent. Now, the Bir Halacha says, "V'imhoya amara dom l'mara hakachol." If it's, let's say, bluish, nira lanias daiti sheish lahachmer b'zeh. The Bir Halacha says, in his opinion, you should be machmer. Okay, let's see the Mishna Berura. B'diyai shachar u'diyai shamer k'doime l'mara hakchol. I am the Bir Halacha that it should be l'chatchila black. It's interesting. The Dirshu brings over here that the Gemara in Shabbos Kuf Gimel Amud Beis says that if you write a Sefer Torah not in ink, you should bury it. That's what the Yushalmi says, Halach L'Moshe Misinai, it has to be written with ink. So there, a Machloikes Rishonim, what is the essence of diyai, ink? The Rambam says, any black color that is permanent, you're allowed to use. You could use a Sharpie pen. It's only excluding other colors. However, it has to be a color that you are able to erase. And therefore, l'chadchila, you should not use me'afatzim, because it's not erasable. Meaning it should be miskayim. Miskayim means it's permanent so long as you don't erase it, but it also has to be erasable. So in other words, it can't be something that just like evaporates or something that doesn't sustain on its own, but it has to be erasable as well. Then they bring the opinion of the Rush. The Rush holds, dafka you need diyai. It's not good enough to have a black color. In other words, you can't use a Sharpie pen, you can't use shoe polish. But you could use mei afatzim and guma. And Rabbeinu Tam and Gittin holds that diyai is dafka. So in other words, according to the Rambam, any black color is good. According to the Rosh, it should be ink, but it could be made from mei afatzim. According to Rabbeinu Tam, diyai is made from the sap of wood that is known to all you ink makers out there. And according to Rabbeinu Tam, if you made it from mei afatzim, it's pasul. So when the Mechaber says that you should write it with diyai, whether there's mei afatzim or not, that's going like the Rush. Even though the Ber HaGoyla quotes the Rambam, I would not say that's the shita of the Rambam, because the Rambam holds it could be, it doesn't have to be diyai. So when the Mechaber says yichtavein b'diyai shachar, I would say that's not the Rambam. The Rambam holds that you don't have to write with diyai, it has to be tzava shachar. I would say it's the Rush. So the Ber HaGoyla quotes the Rambam and the Rush. Lanias daiti, this is shitas harash, not shitas harambam. However, the Rama says, "L'chadchila yachmer lichter b'diyai ha'asuya me'ashan eitzim." L'chadchila, you should be machmer to write it from something made out of the smoke of wood. So the sap of wood, oy shmanim shruyim b'mei afatzim, or oils that are soaked in gallnut juice. So Chumash is Barbie or Adeas and Reish Ayin Aleph. Let's see the Mishna Berura on this. Me'ashan eitzim. What does that mean, me'ashan eitzim? Perish v'lo yato soichoi kuma oy kankantaim. You should not put in it these various ingredients, which are kuma or kankantam, shekarin b'lashon Ashkenaz kuper vaser, which is some kind of copper mineral metal juice, which I guess makes it more permanent. And the reason you should not use these ingredients is kilacharchila ba'inan ksav sheyuchal lihimachek. You're not allowed to use kuper vaser in a Sefer Torah. Why? Because then it's not erasable. Through these various liquids being added, then it becomes permanent. Okay, so that is the shita of the Rama. L'chatchila, you should be makbid on the Rama is quoting the Maril. This is shitas Rabbeinu Tam, that it should not be. It should be made out of eitzim, and so two things. First of all, the Rama says it should be made out of eitzim. That's shitas Rabbeinu Tam. However, the added point that you should not put in these other ingredients is the shita of the Rosh. So it's interesting. When the Mechaber says you should write it with black ink, whether it has me'afatzim, whether it doesn't have me'afatzim, that point, black ink, is not the shita of the Rambam. Because the Rambam holds you don't need black ink, any black color. But then when he says whether it has me'afatzim, whether it doesn't have me'afatzim, that's not the shita of the Rosh, because the Rosh says that you're allowed to have me'afatzim. Then the Ramah says that l'chadchila it should be made out of wood. That's shitas Rabbeinu Tam. Okay, now v'zeh hakol mitzvah min hamuvchar bavad. This is all mitzvah min hamuvchar. Aval adina gam Rama moida demot lasas mimei afatzim v'kum v'kankantoim. The Rama would agree that it's permitted to make it out of these other ingredients. V'chein noegim lasas kayim al yedei taroives shlashtan. That's the minhag. The minhag b'zman hazeh is yes to put in the gallnut juice and the kuma and the kankantoim, and that is the minhag today, that we make some kind of mixture out of the three. You cook it up, ayidei bishul, dahachi adav tvei. This is much better. Chumash kasav v'tshuvas mishkanois Yaakov Siman lamed zayin va'ayin b'magen Avram shekasav. Look in the Magen Avram who writes to be yamav lo'ira gam kein lechem nagdolim shenohag lasis b'diyay ha'asim me'ashem eitzim ushmanim. The Magen Avram writes that in his times he did not see any of the gedolim make it out of diyai, made out of the smoked wood and oils. Could be they made it from the ink of thorns. Basically nowadays, even though maybe in a laboratory, in an ideal world, you want to use ashan eitzim without kuma, without kankantoim, without kuper vasar, without me'afatzim, but nowadays we do it and it works and it erases because if you make it out of ink from wood, it gets ruined, v'nimchak b'nakel, and it erases easy. Alkein ein noegim by achshav, therefore it is not the minhag to use it b'zman hazeh. Udiyai ha'asoy mimei afatzim, and ink made out of me'afatzim bilvad, beloy kuma, without kuma, shekarin b'lashon Ashkenaz guma. So ink made out of just the gallnut, without this kuma that we call guma, some kind of rubbery substance, oy mikan kantoin bilvad, that's pasal afilu b'diavad. That's pasal even b'diavad. Kein kasav hagra b'biurei lekamam b'siman tafrei sali aleph. So says the Gra in his explanation in Siman Tafrei Sali Aleph, Ayin Sham, V'ayin Beber Halacha. Mutter lichtav tefillin umezuzos b'diyai hanasim stam yayin. It's permitted to write tefillin and mezuzos from ink that's made from stam yayin. So the Dirshu points out, even though we hold that cheftzos tashmishe kedusha need to be min hamutar beficha, something you could eat, he quotes the Shal Shuvas Var Shmuel, Siman Kuf Samach Beis, that wine is different because it gets ruined and it's not roy lachila, so there's no isser. Furthermore, this is not called min ha'asr ba'achila because it's an external psul, like the Shulchan Aruch says later on in Siman Lamed Zayin, that you're allowed to make the hide of batim from the hide of nevelos and treifos, because it is what we call davar achar garam, the psul. Then the Mishna Berura ends off, Vayin b'shari tshuva, sivkatan daled. Diyai ein tzarich lasos lishma. Ink does not have to be made lishma. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. Wishing everyone a wonderful day and a freilich and Chanukah.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.